Good morning, Boston. Okay, my friends, yesterday the Rubicon was crossed. One of the darkest days in the history of the United States. For the first time ever, a former president and now leading presidential candidate has been arrested. This took place in Miami yesterday at 3 o'clock in the afternoon at a federal courthouse where President Trump arrived in his motorcade. He had his lawyers beside him. He entered the courtroom. Jack Smith, the special counsel, was there as well. And the magistrate judge asked him 37 counts. On all 37 counts, 31 of them violations of the Espionage Act, illegal retention and sharing of classified national security documents, false statements, obstruction of justice, and conspiracy to obstruct justice. How do you plead? And his lawyers speaking on behalf of Trump. Trump did not say a single word throughout the entire proceeding. We plead, as he put it, we most certainly plead not guilty. And the proceeding lasted about an hour. Trump was already told there were certain conditions now being posed upon him. He cannot talk about the case with all of the witnesses that the prosecution now, they say, will present a compelling case that the President of the United States, and again, leading presidential rival of Joe Biden, must go to jail for 400 years. In other words, they want him to die behind bars. Trump left on his way to the airport, stopped off at a very prominent cafe in the Cuban community in Miami, Cafe Versailles, very well known. Apparently it's a bakery and they make some phenomenal food. He met a lot of supporters there, bought everybody lunch. He seemed defiant. He seemed determined. And then he addressed the country from Bedminster, his summer residence when he's not in Florida during the summer months. And he laid out what the Kuhner man in many ways has been saying for really the last week or so, that we have now crossed a threshold, and that now, after crossing this line, there can never be going any back. The United States is now a banana republic. It is no different than Venezuela. It is no different than Cuba. In those countries, the regimes in power deliberately target and jail their leading political opponents. And that's exactly what Biden has done. In fact, last year, Biden gave a speech at a G7 meeting, and he told reporters that in private meetings with Justin Trudeau and Emmanuel Macron and other leaders, that they were looking at the polls, and they told Biden, this is what Biden claimed, they were worried that Trump may come back to the White House, that his movement, the Make America Great Again / America First movement, may come back to power again. And Biden last year told reporters that this will not happen, that he guaranteed them this will not happen, and that not to worry, that Trump would not be a threat to anyone taking power again. It was nothing less and nothing more than a thinly veiled excuse, a thinly veiled threat to use the power of the government, the Department of Justice, to silence, muzzle, and take out Trump. And that's exactly what that crook Merrick Garland has done, and his assassin Jack Smith. This is what this indictment is fundamentally all about. It has nothing to do with mishandling classified documents. Hillary Clinton destroyed 33 3,000 classified documents that she put on an unsecure, illegal private server in her basement. When those documents were subpoenaed in an investigation by the FBI, she destroyed all of them. By the way, several of those documents weren't just classified, weren't just highly classified. They were marked top secret, which is the highest classification you can possibly have. She destroyed every single one of them. And then, as a further insurance policy, she and her aides took the phones, the Blackberries, the cell phones in which those documents were sent, and with a freaking hammer, smashed every single one of them. So there would be nothing to retrieve. Hillary Clinton was never charged. Hillary Clinton is still walking free today. Hillary Clinton's home was never raided. Then there is the traitor-in-chief, Dementia Joe, who we now know has over 1,850 boxes, some of them dating back decades when he was a senator, others when he was vice president. And remember, no declassification authority. Unlike Trump, who as president has the authority to summarily declassify any and all documents. That is the power vested in him by the Article 2 in the Constitution and by the Presidential Records Act. Biden illegally retained 1,850 freaking boxes with hundreds and hundreds of classified documents in them, in his home, in his garage next to his Corvette, in Chinatown, in the Biden Penn Center, for years. Nothing. We are no longer a constitutional republic with equal justice and equal treatment under the law. What this is a political persecution, a political prosecution. And the goal is simply to remove the leading political rival of Joe Biden, to put Trump behind bars, to guarantee, as Biden vowed, that Trump and his movement will never come to power again. Listen now to President Donald Trump yesterday, last night in Bedminster, saying that this is a day that will go down in infamy. But he wants everyone to know that he is going to fight to the end. And if we all stand with President Trump, and if we all speak truth to power, we ultimately will prevail. Roll cut 4A, Mike.
This day will go down in infamy, and Joe Biden will forever be remembered as not only the most corrupt president in the history of our country, but perhaps even more importantly, the president who, together with a band of his closest thugs, misfits, and Marxists, tried to destroy American democracy. But they will fail, and we will win bigger and better than ever before.
Amen. Look, I got to tell you, I think the Democrats now have grotesquely overplayed their hand. You look at social media, you look at now the polls that are coming out, there is a massive surge of support for Trump. And I'm not just saying from Republicans, independents, many moderate voters, swing voters are saying this is clearly now a political, legal witch hunt. Listen now to Trump saying we are now becoming an authoritarian state. We are now witnessing the birth of a dictatorship. Roll cut 4, Mike.
Today we witness the most evil and heinous abuse of power in the history of our country. Very sad thing to watch. A corrupt sitting president had his top political opponent arrested on fake and fabricated charges of which he and numerous other presidents would be guilty. More importantly, it's a political persecution like something straight out of a fascist or communist nation.
Bingo. He's completely right. The man who is leading Joe Biden by 7, 8, 9 percentage points. He is the one now that they want to remove and lock him up behind bars. This is nothing more and nothing less than a legal political witch hunt. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, I want to go to the phone lines very quickly. Let me just play 2 more cuts, and then I want to, as they say, unleash the hounds. 617-266-6868. Yesterday, a dark, dark day for the United States of America. We have now crossed a line. We are now like many third world dictatorships. We're now like many third world banana republics where in the midst of an election campaign, when the ruling party is now losing, when a opposition candidate is ahead in the polls and they fear this person will come to power, they then go after them. And that's what we saw in Miami with the arrest of Donald Trump. Listen now to Trump addressing the nation last night. And I want to ask you if you believe ultimately he is right. What he's now saying is that he is the only Republican of all of the Republican candidates in the Republican field who can stand up as a defense against the Democrats and the deep state. That they are now coming after all of us. That they now want to smash all political opposition and, most importantly, establish one-party rule, a one-party state. That's what they now are ultimately all about. They have branded MAGA a fascist white supremacist movement. They have branded the Republican Party a fascist white supremacist insurrectionist party, that we are a threat, that Republicans are a threat to the very nation itself, that we are an enemy of democracy, an enemy of the state. The implication is crystal clear. We must never allow Republicans to ever come back to power again. Trump now says he is the only one who is fearless enough, tough enough, courageous enough, strong enough to defend us from the ravaging Democrats and their deep state collaborators. Roll cut 3A, Mike.
They want to take away my freedom because I will never let them take away your freedom. It's very simple. They want to silence me because I will never let them silence you. They want you silent. And I am the only one that can save this nation because you know they're not coming after me, they're coming after you, and I just happen to be standing in their way, and I will never be moving.
Is he right? Are they now ultimately coming after all of us? And I mean by all of us, anyone now who opposes the Biden regime, who opposes the woke agenda, who opposes the deep state. And is Trump now really our last line of defense? Listen to Trump saying, I will take blow after blow after blow, indictment after indictment after indictment, because now middle America has risen. The American people now see what the Biden regime is essentially all about. It is an authoritarian, dictatorial regime, hell-bent on cracking down and stamping out all viable political opposition. And on November 5, 2024, he will be reelected, and justice will finally be done. Listen to Trump. Roll cut 3B, Mike.
On November 5th, 2024, justice will be done. We will take back our country and we will make America great again. Thank you. God bless you all. Thank you. Thank you very much. Great job. Thank you.
Okay, so I got to ask you, and it's really now two seminal questions. One, is Trump now the only one that can stop the Democrats and the deep state from turning this country into a full-fledged authoritarian regime, a one-party state, one-party rule? Can he still resurrect and save our democracy? Or do you believe now it is dead? And number two, can Trump win in 2024? Can Trump overcome all of this baggage, all of these attacks, all of these indictments, even if he managed to stay out of jail, even if his lawyers can keep him out of prison? The damage that, and this is what the Democrats are hoping in the media, that many Americans, low information voters, they don't get into the weeds of the indictment and is he innocent, is he guilty? They just look at the headlines and they can't go beyond the headlines. And what they see is, oh my God, he's been charged again. Oh my God, he's done something wrong again. Oh my God, if there's smoke, there must be fire. Oh, he's bad. Oh, he's a criminal. Oh, he's a threat to the rule of law. He's someone who we can never have in the White House again. Will they be able to drive down his poll numbers enough and turn enough independents against him? Can Trump win, or is it now over? Jeff Kuhner, Boston's bulldozer, cleaning up the liberal bull. President Trump arrested on federal charges by Biden's corrupt Department of Justice. Yesterday, Trump was officially arraigned, and now we know for certain the prosecution, the Biden regime, say they want Trump in jail for 400 years. Over documents that Biden himself, by the hundreds, retains, possesses, and stored illegally for years. And yet nothing is happening to Joe Biden or Hillary Clinton, but Trump, throw the book at him. Can Trump survive politically? Can he still win in 2024? And from this moment forward, is he the only one now that can shield and defend us from the Democrats and the deep state? 617-266-6868 is the number. Dave in Pennsylvania. Thanks for holding, Dave, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff. How are you, sir?
Good. How are you, Dave?
Good. Hey, Jeff, the two questions you asked, Trump is the only one to save America, and it's Trumpomania running wild, brother.
Dave, what's your sense, and just as the indictment was announced, and now yesterday he was arrested and formally arraigned, do you get the sense now that his popularity is even higher? Is it surging?
Jeff, it's gone through the ozone layer. How's that, buddy? You know, the liberals claim there's so many holes in the ozone layer. Well, Trump made a bigger one. Jeff, his popularity is so big, he makes Hulk Hogan and all his steroids go down. But, Jeff, let me make a comparison, if I may, real quick. I don't want to steal your thunder. Jeff, just imagine if the shoe was on the other proverbial foot, okay? And Trump was doing this to, go against Biden. Number one, the media would be in a frenzy. Second of all, I'm going to look at it like this, Jeff. I really shouldn't be making that analogy because Trump wouldn't be doing that. I would expect a rhino like maybe, Chris Christie or Mike Pence or Judas Pence to do something like that. Trump wouldn't do anything like that because he would be on merit, Jeff, and he would be so busy doing the business of the American people. I think if he had a good DOJ, they would go after the Bidens, Jeff. And I tell you, when Trump gets in there, the media is going to be more you-know-what crazy, and they're going to be shot through the solar system, Jeff. I think, you know what, Jeff? I think the Democrats are living on another planet because if me and you did what Biden did, Jeff, I've been in the military. I've been in the skiff. Jeff, if I even thought of taking anything out of the skiff, I would be what's called UCMJ'd under the general article. And that means any commander can bust me for anything. So, but Jeff, the liberals know what they're talking about. They got all the PhDs. They're the so-called experts when they're experts at nothing, Jeff. You know what I mean? They're absolutely clueless and brainless, Jeff.
Dave, this is what I find incredible. How do these liberals look at themselves in the mirror? They know what Hillary Clinton did. They know what Joe Biden did. You just mentioned it. He literally stole documents from a skiff, and he kept them for years. Some in his garage, some in his house, in his living room, some in his office, some in another office, some in Chinatown, and nothing. Literally nothing. And yet here, and by the way, he had never any power to declassify. None. And yet here against Trump, they want to put him away 400 years. Don't they see what a bunch of hypocrites and liars that they are? Like that the country is laughing at them?
I mean, Jeff, you know what though? I think they're complicit in this too, Jeff, because you can't tell me that the Democrats, and we know this because we're smart conservatives, Tea Party guys like me and you, the Democrats know they got the water boy media backing them up. They carry the water for the Democrats, and the more they think they can get away with, the liberal media is going to cover them up like grass growing in the field, Jeff. And then they got the weaponized DOJ. The CIA's been weaponized for God knows how long. The military-industrial complex, like Bobby Kennedy was saying, they killed my uncle and they killed my father and MLK. I'll even go further, Jeff. I believe the CIA was part of the MLK assassination too, Jeff. But, you say the truth and the Democrats don't understand it. They wouldn't know what the truth was if it ran over them like a tractor-trailer, Jeff.
Dave, as always, thank you so much for that call. And have a great day, my friend. 617-266-6868 is the number. Look, this is not an original point by the Kuhner man, but it's, many are saying it was the Democrats who launched the first Civil War. And it's the Democrats now who are trying to break our country up again. And the Democrats have a history of imprisoning their political opponents. Martin Luther King Jr. Democrats kept imprisoning him over and over and over again. Japanese Americans in World War II. What did FDR do? Rounded them up into these internment camps. Woodrow Wilson rounded up opponents into internment camps. So the Democrats have been jailing and imprisoning their opponents for the last 150 years. What's new this time is they're now going after the leading presidential candidate and a former president to boot. So they've now taken it one dangerous step further. 617-266-6868. Larry in Leominster. Thanks for holding, Larry, and welcome. Hello, Larry?
Jeff?
Larry, all I heard... So I don't know if you're in a bad zone or something, Larry. I feared maybe you were getting mugged as you called or something. It's like we could barely hear what you were saying. Hello, Larry?
Jeff?
Oh, Larry, okay. You're coming in loud and clear, my friend.
Oh, standing in my kitchen. I said, happy Flag Day, sir.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Larry. Larry, I'm thinking maybe today we fly the flag upside down in distress. What do you think?
So today I have to go into Boston to a Masonic event called Grand Quarterly. And a lodge I belong to, a military lodge at that, was asked to present colors today. So I'll be one of the gentleman holding the U.S. flag as we go into the ceremony. I was thinking about that. There's a poem I recommend all your listeners to look up, but even better, go on YouTube. It's called A Toast to the Flag. It's a gentleman who explains all the aspects of the United States flag. And I think Americans really should take a step back and try to remember what the flag represents and what this country overall is supposed to represent. Because you're right, we crossed the Rubicon. In my opinion, we crossed that Rubicon about 7-8 years ago. This is just the next step in their attempt at totalitarianism.
Larry, look, Trump's argument, and I agree with him. I completely, and not 100, as I like to say, 1,000%. His argument is the Democrats really now have shown us their true colors. They want to create a one-party state. They want one-party rule. And the Trump indictment is now a giant step forward in that objective of theirs. Do you fear that we are now really becoming a third world banana republic? Really, in a sense, a dictatorship, where now the awesome power of the government is used to take out leading opponents of the regime.
Well, sir, we're definitely in a police state right now. That's what, people keep warning, well, the police state is coming. No, it's here. It's been here for a couple of years now. But I discussed this with you. I know I brought this topic up maybe about a year ago. It's called the beach ball theory. The beach ball theory is if you're in the water and you've got a beach ball and you take your hands and you try to hold that beach ball underwater, you can only hold it underwater for so long, and that beach ball is going to find a way to pop out and escape, right? And that's what is slowly happening as Americans wake up. 2 examples. In California, this happened in 2 uber liberal states, one in California, one here in Massachusetts, I think yesterday or the day before. You have a middle school teacher in a math class showing some gay pride video, right? And the kids, one of them was secretly recording it, and all the kids were yelling.
Larry, can you do me a favor? You're about to make such an important point. I don't want to rush you. We're going to go back to Larry, take all of your calls. Larry's point, and I think I agree with him, is that you're starting to see resistance develop everywhere. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, the Biden regime strategy is now obvious. Bury Trump under a mountain of indictments. Take him out of the race and put him behind bars. In other words, do what they do in other third world dictatorships like Cuba, Venezuela. You can run down the list. Larry now believes Trump could be rising again like a phoenix. Popularity is soaring. More people now want to vote for Trump than ever before. They can see this is a blatant travesty of justice. And as Larry is now about to tell us, you're seeing it not just at a political level. There is now a cultural resistance. You're seeing it in schools, middle schoolers, in classrooms. People have just had it with wokeism and the woke agenda. So, Larry, you were saying there were 2 recent instances in just the last couple days. One in liberal California, the other one here in Moonbat, Massachusetts. Please pick up where you left off, Larry.
The California one, the kids started yelling at the teacher, why are you showing this to us? What has this got to do with what we're supposed to be learning today? Stop trying to, basically they're saying, and you heard a few of them, stop trying to shove this down our throats. Now, in that instance, you could tell the visceral anger of that teacher. Not because they were disrupting her class, but because they were resisting what she was trying to force on them. You could hear in her voice, she was so upset. And then, I guess Monday, in Burlington, Mass, kids, I think another set of junior high kids, middle school, were running through the school, ripping down the pride propaganda, screaming, Our pronouns are USA, USA, USA. And again, in this instance, the school is actually calling the kids homophobic.
It's unbelievable. No, Larry, just because we have we have a big national audience. People listen from all over the country. Burlington is a suburb, essentially. It's a town, really a suburb of Boston. Well, at Marshall Simmons Middle School in Burlington, they're having Pride Month. And it was Friday where they said, well, Spirit Day, Pride Month, Spirit Day. And so the students were urged, everybody's got to dress in rainbow clothing. The faculty, teachers, administrators, everybody was dressed in rainbow clothing. And a large group of students said, we're sick of this. In fact, they were angry because there was nothing done to celebrate Memorial Day. And they go, so here are people who literally died for our freedoms. We don't have time to celebrate them. But you want to, a whole month of this garbage? And so they said enough. And so many of them dressed in red, white, and blue. Some of them even put on like red, white, and blue face paint. And they started chanting in the hallway, our pronouns are USA, USA, USA. And they started to take down these rainbow or LGBTQ themed banners and stickers and signs. And now all hell has broken loose, not just in Burlington, but across the entire state of the media is going apoplectic here in Massachusetts. As you put it, Larry, this is homophobia. This is hate. This is intolerance. This will not be accepted. The kids are sick of this garbage being rammed down their throat. Day after day after day, they've had it. And I agree with you, Larry. You're going to start to see a lot more of these just spontaneous eruptions of resistance and of people saying, we're sick of it. We're done. We don't want your radical left-wing revolution. We've had it. Larry, I got to ask you, can Trump come back? I mean, there's going to be more indictments to come. January 6th, Jack Smith is just getting warmed up. You've got Georgia now. There's a lot more indictments. He's going to be spending a lot of time in court. If they don't even put him behind bars, they want to wound and bleed him in the eyes of public opinion. Will they succeed, or will this blow up in the regime's face?
I have an analogy for you. It may sound strange, but watch where I'm going with this. All right. Have you ever seen any of the, before the Marvel Avengers got together, did you ever see any of the solo Incredible Hulk movies? Yes. Picture that those idiotic generals in that movie, like the left and the media. They couldn't figure out that every time they shot at the creature, blew up the creature, what happened? He got angrier, but he got stronger, not weaker. And they just kept saying, well, we have to up our game and start doing more damage. And again, it befuddled them that the creature just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger and stronger and stronger. And that's what's happening now. You could see it when they're giving these polls on CNN, MSNBC, all those other crap networks. The look on their faces is like, why? Why is he rising? I watched one last night where since pre-indictments, he was leading DeSantis by 20 points. Now he's leading by almost 40 points. DeSantis is actually falling. He's rising. And they just can't figure it out. And that's the beautiful part. Let him keep being confused and let him keep trying more and more and more. It's only going to make things worse. Yeah, I think he's going to come back and come back strong. Because you're right. Like you said, people are tired of all this crap. We're a very tolerant society overall. At one point, the American public's like, no more.
Larry, I'm with you. I'm so with you. You have no idea. Larry, as always, phenomenal call. 617-266-6868. And really, I got to tell you, the way look, I think his description of Americans is dead on. We're a very tolerant people, but just leave us alone. And that's really me. I'm just, I'm like, hey, look, do your thing. If you're an adult, do your thing. I mean, I may have my personal opinions about it. Don't get me wrong, but just leave me alone, man. But when you keep ramming it down our throat over and over and over and over again, well, now it's blank you. Now it's war. Now this is political, ideological, cultural war. And so if you want a war, we're going to give you a war. 617-266-6868 is the number. Becky in the great state of Oregon. Thanks for holding, Becky, and welcome.
Oh, thank you, Jeff. Good morning.
Hi.
Did you see those guys get out of the motorcade yesterday, those two guys with the automatic weapons? I think he got out of the president's car. I'm not sure, but I saw two guys with automatic weapons. And because usually we see the Secret Service or the guys dressed in suits, right? And yesterday these two guys got out. I think it was right when they arrived at the courthouse. I don't know. I had the TV on, but I had it muted. But,
is that is that when there was a protester? I know there was a protester that tried to block the motorcade.
I heard something about protests, but this was just a quick shot. They parked the cars, and these two guys got out. They got out, and they were kind of like in camouflage, and they had automatic weapons diagonally across their chest, how they do. And I just had this thought all of a sudden that if someone is able to eliminate our beloved President Trump, and I don't want to use the A word, he's going to go down as guilty as charged. That'll be his endless legacy, is guilty of 37 counts, and that'll be the end of it if they're able to eliminate him before he can prove his innocence. Wouldn't they like that more than anything?
I think you're being too kind. You're right, but I think you're even being too kind. I think they just want. I think if they could, they'd assassinate him. Oh, I think there's no question. No, I think this is the Kennedy assassination. This is the JFK assassination by other means. And the only reason why they haven't taken him out, the only reason, is they know the country would explode. I mean, everybody would know it was them. They couldn't hide it. They couldn't deflect it. They just couldn't. And the country would literally explode. And they know that. But no, they're doing, I get the emails. You got to see these people. When I say rabid, when I say seething with hatred, they want him in jail at 7:00 in the morning. I'm not trying to disgust people, but they want him in jail so he'll be raped. You got to see the stuff I'm getting. They want him violated in prison over and over and over and over and over again. The hatred they have for this man is beyond all reason. It is truly sickening. It is diabolical. And so, Becky, the question I have for you is this. To use Larry's analogy, is Trump now the Incredible Hulk? The more you hit the Hulk, the more you fire at him, the more you try to kill him, the more you try to blow him up, he gets madder. And the madder he gets, the stronger he gets. Is he now the political equivalent of the Hulk? Do you think he can take all of this and still emerge triumphant November 5, 2024?
He gets stronger because we all get stronger together, because we know the truth, and you know how the truth is. It's overpowering everything. But I don't know, the only difference to me right now is if they would have taken him out before, which you say they wanted to, he wasn't charged with anything. Now he is charged with all this stuff, and the people, I have a classmate in California, and I used to talk to her. She watches CBS News. They don't like Trump. See, and that was last year. So they don't hear anything, these people. You used to comment, why are these people voting this way or whatever? They don't know anything. They watch CBS News, and she's my age.
Ugh.
Stupid.
Ugh. You know what they say, Becky? Stupid is as stupid does. Who the hell watches CBS? Becky, thank you so much for that call. No, look, this is what I guess this is another way of phrasing my second question. The low information voters, the low info crowd, there's a lot of them out there. Frankly, many of them call in. Those are the libs that call in. Okay? You can tell. Very low information. They don't know much what they're talking about, but they're seething. They're rabid. They're ignorant, arrogant, and fully convinced that they're right. That's basically a fanatic. A fanatic is someone who knows very little, but is completely convinced that they're right, even though they're extremely ignorant. Well, that's the low information crowd. The low info crowd doesn't know about the Presidential Records Act, Article 2 of the Constitution, Amy Berman Jackson, I'm going to get into this, and the Bill Clinton case regarding his tapes, and the sock drawer, and all of this. They don't know any of that. They just see the headlines, they go, oh, Trump indicted again? Trump bad? Oh, he's a threat to democracy. He's sharing our nuclear secrets with people all over the world. Kill him, get rid of him, jail him, imprison him, I hate him. So my question to you is this. Are these indictments going to sway enough of these low information voters, independents, suburban voters, swing voters, to go and pull the lever for Biden again? Because now, from this point forward, Trump's indictment is part of the 2024 campaign. Every debate Republicans have, it's going to be about this indictment. Anytime Trump's on the campaign trail, it's going to be about this indictment. The media is going to obsess about it now until November 2024. The Democrats are going to make an issue out of it every single time. So my question to all of you is, will this sway enough of the low information voters to pull the lever for Biden against Trump? Or do you think now a majority of Americans were onto the game, were onto the witch hunt? 617-266-6868. Can Trump, he says he will win, that ultimately justice will prevail. Is Trump right? Or is he dreaming? Anthony in Plainville. Thanks for holding, Anthony, and welcome.
Hi, good morning, Jeff.
Hi, Anthony.
It's Trump or no one in 2024. Hands down, they have thrown everything at Donald Trump, and he's only gotten stronger. And you know what? I think this morning we really need to acknowledge some victories, Jeff. We need to acknowledge that not only have his poll numbers swollen. I looked at a YouGov poll where he's up 60. He has 61%, and DeSantis has 23%. But the cultural shift that Larry was talking about, the swell, the groundswell of the nation, the tide is turning, and you can feel it. You can feel it. I mean, just simple things with the boycott of Bud Light or the boycott of Target. People are sick of it. But they're also the low information voter that you were just talking about. I understand. You know, we can only do so much to educate, but with what they're throwing at Trump and everything that they've been doing it for so long now that it's almost people are becoming desensitized. Okay, another Trump story. But here's the thing. He's the only one that can right the ship. If justice is to be done, and this is not just for our country, but for my kids and your kids, my nephews, if we're going to go forward in 2024 and beyond, this has to be straightened out. Trump is going to be he's the only candidate. He's the only one that will go in there and fire people from the DOJ, fire people from the FBI, hold people accountable. People just want people to be held accountable and not get away with everything. Because if you're getting away with things at the highest levels, and there's nothing happening, then you have no trust in anything. But Trump, he'll be a one-term president. He won't be worried about re-election. He'll be able to get in there and do the job. And he knows the players. He knows the characters. I think, if anything, he won't make the same mistakes as his first term. I do believe he's going to win in 2024. And I do believe it's time for us to not hang our heads or feel sorry. It's time to stand up, dig in, and pray for the man. Support the man. Do what we have to do to get behind him. and do it as a country. Do it together, arm in arm. And that's the one thing that we have control over. There's going to be a little patience period between now and the election. Yes, we're going to have to be patient. But when the time comes, and it will come, Jeff, November is going to be, I mean, it's 11 months or how many months away, 2024. It's going to be here, and we're going to be able to vote. And I believe Trump is going to be the man standing at the end.
Anthony, the reason why I'm all in with Trump is because even after everything they're now doing to him, he's now been arrested. He's been indicted twice. He's facing 400 years in jail. They're harassing his business. They're going after his children. It's subpoena after subpoena after subpoena. They now are jailing his supporters. They've impeached him twice. They're telling him, basically, they're threatening him with his life. They're saying, and we may put you behind bars. You'll never see your kids or grandkids again. And knowing the power of the CIA, the power of the FBI and the DOJ, and how irredeemably corrupt they've become, this is what he said last night. Roll cut 3, Mike.
When I'm reelected, and we will get reelected, we have no choice. We're not going to have a country anymore. I will totally obliterate the deep state. We will obliterate the deep state. And we know who they are. I know exactly who they are.
I mean, Anthony, he's telling them, I'm taking you down. You can do whatever you want to me, to my family. You can harass me, persecute me, threaten me, jail me, imprison me. Hell, you can even try to kill me. And you better kill me. Because if you don't kill me, I'm coming for you and you're going down. Now, that to me is statesmanship. That to me is leadership. Frankly, that to me is balls of steel. That's why I believe we should support him. We must support him. And I believe he will win. Am I wrong?
Nope, you're 100% right, Jeff. He's got courage, and it's time for us to stand up as well. And you know what, Jeff? One last thing before, I don't know if you're getting this feeling, but every time I see, and this is kind of like a little bit more on the Ron DeSantis side. Every time I see Ron DeSantis, I'm starting to see a Mitt Romney, and I'm starting to see the Bushes, and I'm starting to see people from behind the scenes. I don't like it, so it's Trump or nobody. Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you very much, Anthony. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay. Many of you are saying, Jeff, what can we do? Please, Kuhner Country, I'm calling upon all of you. Go to WRKO.com/Kuhner. Kuhner. There are my columns. I have a fresh new column. Kuhner Man, I wrote it last night. We just posted it this morning. It lays out the entire case against the indictment and what is at stake now in these charges against Trump. Please, I need you to go read the column, go on social media, whether it's Facebook, Gab, Twitter, wherever you go, and send it off to your friends, family members, colleagues. It's called The Day America Died. And as I lay out in my column, this is now an attack on our constitutional democracy. This is now an attempt to put Trump behind bars so they don't have to run against him in 2024 because they know he will win. And to save our country, we must now stand behind Trump. So it lays out everything. Please, the American people need to know what's happening. Go to WRKO.com/Kuhner, Kuhner. The column is there. The Day America Died. Read it and send it out to as many as possible. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, lines are absolutely jammed. We're going to go right back to the phone lines. But first, the Kuhner Country poll question du jour of the day, sponsored by Kelly Financial Services. Do you think the indictment of President Trump has now, in essence, essentially, now eliminated all of his rivals for the 2024 Republican presidential nomination? And I don't mean, or we don't mean they're just going to drop out, but that now he has such a commanding lead. He's gotten such another massive boost in popularity and in the polls that essentially now it's over. That Trump, when you're talking 40-point plus lead over the second place challenger DeSantis, everyone else in single digits, the fat lady's about to sing. So let me ask you, do you think now this indictment has essentially clinched the Republican nomination for Donald Trump? Is it effectively over? Yes or no? I want to hear from you. Has he now essentially, or has this indictment eliminated all of his rivals? Yes or no? I believe it has. I'm not saying this as a, how do I say it? I'm not saying this against any other candidate. I know many of you like DeSantis, others like Nikki Haley, many of you like Tim Scott. I'm just saying in terms of the practical effects, that it has rallied so much support behind Trump over the principle that our democracy now is under siege. And we will not allow the Democrats and the deep state to decide for us who is acceptable and who is not acceptable. So my question to you, is Trump now the inevitable Republican nominee? Yes or no? You can vote on our webpage, wrko.com/Kuhner, wrko.com/Kuhner, Kuh, N as in Nancy, ER. As always, you can vote via Twitter, at the Kuhner Report. That's our handle, at the Kuhner Report. Again, one word, Kuhner. Eddie in Maine. Thanks for holding, Eddie, and welcome.
Questions. Hey,
Hi,
Eddie from. Hey, how you doing, Jeff? I'm going to ask you 3 questions. I'll hang up to hear your answer. You truly believe that Biden is a traitor and sold our country out? And if so, wouldn't our military, our nationwide law enforcement, and our so-called Republican politicians be traitors too? And we need our female Republican voters to shut the country down, and because it affects their children's education, their children's access to medical, even their citizenship. So just like Rosa Parks did in the early 60s, she refused to give her seat up. They have to do something. Shut the country down. Do something to help out Trump. What do you think, Jeff? I'm going to hang up and hear your answer.
Thank you very much, Eddie. No, I don't think that necessarily it means that others in the military or police officers or law enforcement are traitors. I do believe there are some in the military. Milley is, to me, Exhibit A, are clearly traitors because they know Biden is a crook. They know he's been taking bribes. They know he's compromised, and they know he's a traitor. And yet they cover it up. Chris Wray is covering up a traitor. Merrick Garland is covering up a traitor. I believe many in the military may not know about this story, or they're not sure if it's accurate or not. Many police officers, same thing. So, no, to me, the person that really needs to be held responsible and accountable is Joey. It's Joe Biden. He's the Benedict Arnold. He's the crook, along with his, son, Hunter, and the degenerate Biden crime family, and all of his enablers. Now, as for women, look, I got to tell you, I think it's time for all of us. Again, I don't know why we're asking women to take the lead on this. Of course, they have children, they have families, they love our country. I think this is every man, woman, and child now needs to say enough is enough. Look, as I lay out in my column, and, this was written, I did not hear Trump's speech last night. I only saw it after I wrote my column. But we're on the same page. Democracy is dead. Let me repeat that. With this indictment, They are now strangling our democracy right in front of us. Now, are we going to stand up for it? Are we going to stand up for our fundamental freedoms and liberties? Because I am telling you, it's not going to end with Trump. Trump will not be this regime's last victim. They're coming for all of us. And so we now have to make a stand, and we have to say, in a first world civilized democracy, you do not jail leading political opponents on garbage made up charges. And when you've got Hillary Clinton guilty as sin, Joe Biden guilty as sin, but you're prosecuting Trump? No. That's two standards of justice. And this country cannot stand with two standards of justice. So, no, look, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Lauren Boebert, Anna Paulina Luna, they're leading the charge for impeachment in the House. Where are the men? Where's McCarthy? Okay, listen now to President Trump. He was defiant. Frankly, he was in fighting trim yesterday. He says, okay, you want to fight? You want a political fight? I'll give you a political fight. Listen now to Trump. In Bedminster at his golf club in New Jersey last night after he was arrested and arraigned in Miami. He flew back on his private plane and said, they're already coming after my family. They want to put me behind bars for hundreds of years, and they want to destroy my business, and now they're after my sons. Roll cut 5A. Mike.
I will tell you, I'm here, and I love you all, and we can take it. But what these thugs have done to my family is a disgrace. I will tell you that, and I say it to all of the fake news, because there's a lot of it back there. What they did to my family, and that young man right there, he's answered more subpoenas than any human being in the history of the world. And you know what? They have nothing after all of those subpoenas. Literally thousands of Congress, fake counsels, Mueller report, all of this. All he did is answer subpoenas all the time. At least he's become very experienced at that. Congratulations.
He was pointing to his son, Eric, who basically essentially runs the business. And look, they want to bankrupt the Trump organization. I mean, they want to take away his billions of dollars. So they don't just want him in jail. They want his family in jail, and they want him penniless. Again, tell me, how is this any different than what Putin does to his opponents in Mother Russia or what they do in communist China? There isn't any. Listen now, one more, and then I want to go to the phone lines. Listen now to Trump saying, look at how they're coming after me over so-called documents. But Obama has 1,000 classified documents in his storage room to this day. Biden, 1,850 boxes. Hillary, 33,000 classified emails she destroyed that were subpoenaed. Some of those emails literally marked top secret, the highest classification you can possibly have. Nothing to Obama, nothing to Biden, nothing to Hillary. But me, you're going to rot in jail, my friend. Roll cut 6, Mike.
No other president, even those who kept far more documents than I, has ever been even investigated, let alone charged with a crime. Because the sham indictment put forward by the Biden administration included staged photographs of boxes at Mar-a-Lago.
He's completely right. Look, the raid was staged. Everything, the indictment yesterday, the arrest was all staged. This is a show trial. It is what you used to see in Stalin's Russia. It's what you still see in Putin's Russia. It's what you see in communist China. And now they're bringing this here to the United States. 617-266-6868. Mark in Medford. Thanks for holding, Mark, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff.
Hi, Mark.
I am one pissed off patriot, Jeff, and I promise you, I have a lot to say if you give me the time, and I promise you I will do the best I can for you to not hit the dump button. But the stuff that wants to come out of my mouth, Jeff, you don't even know, okay? I just want to say, how much longer are we, the people, going to sit here and watch Donald Trump take bullet after bullet after bullet for us and not do anything about it? But don't you think, Jeff, that it's time for the 100 million plus, because you know it's those 100 million plus of MAGA supporters? Don't you think it's time, Jeff, that we start to return the favor to this innocent man and what he's doing for us? Stepping in front of the freight train to protect the American people, and we're sitting here doing nothing about it. The Republicans are sitting there doing nothing about it. It's time we return the favor, Jeff. And I have a couple of messages out there, especially for our woke, sick, and twisted generals and the military. Okay? Jeff, I have a feeling that this is at a boiling point where something is going to blow. And when it does, Jeff, if Joe Biden calls upon our military to take shots at fellow Americans, okay, I want every member of the military, active, non-active, retired, to sit and think before you do. Will you go against a fellow American at the behest of a traitor, a communist, a pedophile? And you know what, Jeff? He is the domestic terrorist.
Mark, I mean, look, you know, again, as I lay out in my column, I lay out he's got January 6ers rotting in jail, some of them beaten and tortured. This has been well documented. Amnesty International, Human Rights Watch are saying human rights abuses are being committed against these January 6ers. You've got others being held for 2 years now, no charges, none. They're being illegally held and detained in prison. You've got the FBI infiltrating Catholic churches, spying on people, on priests, on parishioners. You've got conservatives, Christians, patriots. Now they've been put on a domestic terrorism list. You've got conservatives and anyone who opposes the Biden regime being censored on social media at the behest of the FBI and the Biden regime. I mean, I could go on and on and on with what they have done. Parents are now branded as domestic terrorists because they simply oppose critical race theory and gay pornography being peddled to their children in public schools. So the evidence now of an authoritarian regime is everywhere. The evidence now that Biden is trying to impose a police state, a dictatorship, it's now irrefutable. Now they've gone one step further. Now they're going to try to lock up their leading political rivals. Now, if we don't stand up against this, I don't know what else you stand up for, to be honest. That's where we are. Now, a lot of this, I'll be honest, I blame on the Republican leadership. And I blame it on Republicans in Congress. Because the moment Jack Smith came out with this joke of an indictment, and it is a joke, it's a pathetic sham. The next day, Kevin McCarthy should have held a press conference saying, we're impeaching Biden's ass. That's it. Biden's now been impeached. Garland's now been impeached. Christopher Wray has been impeached. We are going to shut the government down. We are going to paralyze. No one gets any money. No one gets any funding. This regime will now grind to a halt. And now you're going to feel the consequences of what you've done. You want to play politics? You want to engage in prosecution and persecution? Now we two can play. Instead, let's be honest. What happened after the Alvin Bragg indictment? Nothing. What happened now after this indictment? Nothing. So the Democrats have concluded that, you know what? These Republicans will just take it and take it and take it. They may yak, they may bark, they may scream, but in the end, we can jail the head of their party, their former president, and the leading opponent the leading candidate in 2024. And they won't do a thing. They've taken the measure of the Republicans on Capitol Hill. And they've concluded they fold like a cheap tent. Lisa in Medford. Thanks for holding, Lisa, and welcome.
Hey, good morning, Jeff.
Hi, Lisa.
I usually call you every June 14th to say Happy Flag Day, Happy Trump Day, Happy Trump birthday, and Happy birthday to me. But I wanted to call and tell you I've been listening, and the last couple of days of everything that you said. You are exactly right. You were very spot on when you brought up the fact about how in that indictment it never included anything about the president being allowed to keep those documents. And last night...
Lisa, can you do me a big favor? I'm up against a hard break. I'm going to come right back to you. Lisa wants to talk about the Presidential Records Act, and she's right. Your calls next. Okay, let's go right back to Lisa in Medford. Lisa always calls on this day. A, it's Flag Day. B, it's Trump's birthday. By the way, he turned 77 today. And it's also Lisa's birthday. So, Lisa, happy birthday. I hope you have a wonderful day. I hope you have a nice dinner. I hope they treat you. I hope your family treats you first class. And what's your favorite cake, by the way, Lisa?
Oh, God. I love the strawberry cream cake from Arthur's Pastry in Medford. They have the best. Oh, my God, it's the best. I mean, they have the real whipped cream. Oof.
I hope you have that tonight, Lisa. You deserve it.
Thank you so much.
Okay, Lisa. So you were going on about the Presidential Records Act. Please pick up where you left off.
Right. I was listening to what you said, and Trump did bring it up in his speech last night because you were right. And I'm saying, I thought, wow, I wonder if he listened to the Kuhner show, because he said exactly what you said. He said
his people do. I mean, Lisa, just so that you know, his people, he doesn't, but his people do, and they take notes. But anyway, keep going.
And, enough is enough. What you're talking about, I've said it before, and I'll say it again. They need to get a backbone. They need to step up. Right now, I honestly feel like I'm living in Putin's Russia with the way they're taking control of everything. I thought, maybe you can answer this question. I thought once McCarthy got in there that he put a stop to the IRS agents. But now I'm hearing that he didn't put a stop to it, so I'm a little confused.
Let me tell you what happened, Lisa, super quick. He did a symbolic vote. It didn't pass the Senate. It has to pass the Senate and then signed by the president, or they override the president's veto to defund the 87,000 IRS agents. So what he did was he did a symbolic vote, and he said, ha, promises kept. But it meant nothing. Nothing was defunded. In the debt deal, because Biden has to sign off on the debt deal, that was his chance to force Biden to agree to it. And instead, he didn't get rid of 87,000 IRS agents. He didn't rescind the $80 billion that they allocated to unleash the IRS on you and on me and on most middle working class Americans and especially conservatives. They just rescinded about $1.9 billion, And they're just not going to hire IRS agents this year, Lisa. But next year, the IRS will be back and they'll have all their extra agents. So basically, McCarthy stabbed us in the back.
I thank you very much for explaining that to me. I missed something. I knew I missed something. It's terrible. I don't feel safe anymore. I have people telling me to start stocking up on food. It's going to get bad. I mean, you have, the Chinese and Gates buying up all the farmland. They're getting close to the bases, the plants and everything else. I don't feel safe here anymore. I really don't.
Well, look, Lisa, I got to tell you, I don't feel safe. Tens of millions of Americans now don't feel safe. We're watching a dictatorship being imposed on us. It's a communist revolution in front of our eyes. And to me, the most pathetic part of all of this, where's the outcry from the media? Where's the outcry from the Republicans? There's no, outside of this audience and other audiences, around the country in terms of talk radio, outside of that, there's no pushback. There's no freaking pushback. So we're going to win. Trump is right. There's an army of us. There's so many more of us than there are of them. But, what's the point of being a majority if you're not a vocal, aggressive, vociferous majority? If you're a passive majority, the minority runs right over you. So that's why I'm with all the callers. We've got to stand up and say, no mas, no more. Enough is enough. Lisa, happy birthday once again. Enjoy your day. You deserve it. God bless you, Lisa. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, very quickly. Kuhner Man has a new column out. It's called The Day America Died. I lay out the devastating case against the indictment of Trump. I expose it for what it is and what the Democrats' ultimate objectives are. It is a warning, a fire bell in the night. And so I'm urging all of you, please go to WRKO.com/Kuhner, KUHNER, WRKO.com/Kuhner. Please read the column. It's titled The Day America Died. Read it and send it off to as many of your friends, family members, colleagues. Post it on social media. Get it out. The truth now must come out. We've got to defend Trump, and we've got to speak the truth. 617-266-6868 is the number. Doug in Maine. Thanks for holding, Doug, and welcome.
Good morning, Kuhner Man. Long time, first time.
Welcome, Doug. Welcome.
Here's what I have. I've written down over the year or so. Bill Durham has a report, and it's been declassified, obviously. And I believe Crossfire Hurricane has been declassified. Am I right or wrong?
Yes. Well, Trump declassified it, and he took
Correct.
those documents with him in Mar-a-Lago, and the FBI came in their raid, and they seized them, and they took them back.
Think they have both copies of it?
I don't know if they have. I mean, I can just tell you with absolute certainty, they searched and searched and searched. They wanted Crossfire Hurricane, and what they have, they got. What he had in Mar-a-Lago, they took it. By the way, they've taken everything, which is, again, a clear violation of the Presidential Records Act. And sorry, Doug, I promise I'll give you all the time in the world. There is a brilliant piece in the Wall Street Journal. I'm going to discuss it later in the show. You got to hear it. It is from the Judicial Watch lawyer who litigated the case against Bill Clinton. You know, that sock in the sock drawer where he had these audio tapes. He describes what the law is on the Presidential Records Act and what the judge ruled. Okay, I'm going to get into it. But what they did to Trump, it's a rape. It's a rape. They took everything. They still have everything. So long story short, Doug, They were looking for Crossfire Hurricane. Those were damaging, incriminating evidence that the FBI knew implicated them and the Obama regime in massive crimes. They seized them, and now they have them.
My whole point. With the Durham report, can he do anything if Trump ever hopefully gets him as an AG? Because his nickname is No Bull Durham. I mean, he's there for the truth, and I just think there's a lot there, with him and the Crossfire Hurricane. There's a lot of stuff in that.
Well, Doug, what Trump has now said on several occasions, he says that should he come back, should he win, and he says he will win in 2024, that he's going to appoint a special counsel to investigate Joe Biden, Hunter Biden, the entire Biden crime family, and we know that what they're going to find. We know about the bribery. We know about the pay to play. We know about the treason. We know about the influence peddling. And then Trump has vowed, and he said, look, now they've established a precedent. You can prosecute former presidents. So if that's the case, I'm going to have my attorney general, and we're going to put arrest warrants out, and the entire Biden clan is going to jail, including Joe Biden, Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, James Comey. They better get ready, because I'm coming for them. So he's going to use and expose Crossfire Hurricane to go after the entire criminal cabal. What he's basically saying, Doug, in a Trumpian way, I should have put Hillary behind bars. This is America. We're not going to put people in jail. Let's forget about it. Let's just move on. And now they're desperate to put me behind bars. Well, you know what? You cracked the stone. So now, if we win, we're coming after you.
It's all good, but something inside of me says that they're not going to let him back in again. Come one way or the other. It's. I know it's not supposed to work that way, but it's that you see so much of that, and it's just sickening. All we can do is vote for President Trump and hope for the best.
Doug, let me bare my soul to you, like I'm in the confessional. Let me be brutally honest with you, and this is going to get me in a lot of trouble. But if I'm not here to speak the truth, then what's the point of me being behind this microphone? I truly fear for President Trump's life. Because I'll tell you why. Jill Biden had a meltdown 24 hours ago. She couldn't believe it. She goes, his poll numbers are getting higher? And she said the quiet part out loud. That's not supposed to happen. We indicted him. Like, after you indict the guy, his poll numbers are supposed to collapse. Like, that's the whole point. And he's getting stronger and stronger and stronger. And so it's getting to the point that his numbers are getting so high and that people are starting to feel so sympathetic. You see, now they've turned him into a martyr. That's what they don't realize. That's how stupid they are. That's what blind hatred does. They've turned him into a martyr. They've turned him into a victim. And my fear is, as he now gets stronger and stronger, more popular and more popular, they're going to come to one conclusion. It worked for John F. Kennedy. Is it going to work for Donald Trump? And that's why I've said to his people repeatedly, he needs a food taster. Guys, I'm serious. He needs a food taster. He needs around-the-clock security. He's got to watch his back. Because if he ends up dead, I'm going to blame the deep state. And now I put nothing beyond him. Nothing past him. So, Doug, that's my fear. You want my honest truth? They will not allow him to come back to power. Because they know if he does, they're all going down. All their crimes are going to be exposed. So, if I'm him, you better make sure you have the best security in the world. because he's going to need it.
About it. You said everything exactly what I was going to say. But I wanted to put it out there about the Crossfire Hurricane being declassified before he left his presidency. And Durham report, I'm just hoping that all these truths can pile up to, like you said, going after the whole cabal,
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. It's in God's hands. Pray. I mean, I know people say, come on, Jeff. No, really, pray. Prayer works. It does. Doug, please don't be a stranger. Call again. 617-266-6868 is the number. David in Brookline. Thanks for holding, David, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff. Thank you for taking my call, really.
My pleasure.
Some of the things that you said prompted me to call. When President Trump says they're coming after us and he's standing in the way, no truer words were ever spoken. But I would say that President Trump should elaborate a little bit so the rest of us really understand what that means, because sometimes that seems like a vague notion. An example is this. If they got rid of President Trump, you don't think they're going to triple our taxes, middle-class taxes, and then if we speak out against it, you don't think you'll find an IRS agent at your door, or worse, you'll be arrested for hate speech? He needs to, because no true words were spoken. He's in the way. They're coming after us. Number two, Jeff, and this is a stream of consciousness, I'm sorry, but 2 or 3 points. In 2020, Hillary Clinton said, and I'm paraphrasing, and it's on tape, I could find it. She said, they can't coexist or negotiate with people like us who disagree with their policies and their agenda. What does that mean, Jeff? That means that they're at war with us. We're just not at war with them yet, and we better get it. And like you said yesterday and again today, you said, just leave us alone. We're tolerant people. We go to work. We pay our taxes. But as Rambo said, Jeff, don't push it. Don't push it, or we're going to give you a war you don't believe. And there's a lot of people out there that feel that way. Jeff, and as I've said before, this is all, you have to verbalize who you're fighting against. This is Soros, Bill Gates, and Obama and others. All of this. When was Obama ever held to account or asked tough questions about his lies and disastrous policies? I never liked his policies, but I didn't carry on. I don't recall him ever being attacked mercilessly. But that's what they did to Trump for 8 years, or 7 years now. And last point, Jeff, and again, this goes back to yesterday, I couldn't get through. Krista Comey and other lunatics. Just remember something, Jeff. They can annoy us, they can infuriate us, but they could never insult you, Dr. Grace, or any of us, because you always need to consider the source. Lunatics.
Well, that's why I like to have them on, because when you have these liberals on, you really see what they're like. And they're rabid dogs. They really are. They're, as you put it, they're lunatics. They're fanatics. And, they're foaming at the mouth. And if you notice, you give them argument after argument after argument about Article 2 in the Constitution, about the Presidential Records Act, about all, facts and evidence and law and the Constitution. And what's their rebuttal? You're stupid. Your wife is even more stupid. Go back to Canada, as one of them said. Like that's their argument. I hate you. We'll kill you. We'll crush you. You're a fascist. Look, that's all they have. A temper tantrum. It's pathetic. It really is. Because ultimately it's about power. What they're after, and this is where Rush, I think, was brilliant. And he kept saying, the Democrats now, this isn't your father's Democratic Party or your grandfather's Democratic Party. They're not, look, for us, here, let's go back to the previous caller. We truly believe in tolerance. We believe in the Constitution. We believe in the Bill of Rights. We believe in freedom as a value. Freedom to disagree. Freedom of speech, freedom of assembly, freedom of association, the free flow of information. And what that means is you have elections, and sometimes you win and sometimes you lose. And you fight them again. That's the American way. But they don't believe in freedom anymore. They openly say it now. The Constitution is a white supremacist document. That's what they teach now. The Constitution, the Bill of Rights, no, that's for dead white males. So what they're saying is they don't believe in freedom. And by the way, the radical left has never believed in freedom. Never. Their goal has always been to exterminate and extinguish freedom and the advocates of freedom and liberty. So, do they want to... Look, I can play you the cuts again. Joe Biden, it's come straight out of his mouth. If you remember that speech in Philadelphia, where he almost looked like the devil with the dark red background. What did he say? You oppose me. You disagree with me. MAGA Republicans, ultra MAGA. You are an enemy of the people. By the way, that's literally communist language. That's what the Soviets would say. That's what the old Soviet Union. You are an enemy of the state. An enemy of the people. So, we are terrorists because we exist. We are terrorists and fascists because we oppose him. Now, if you know anything about Marxism, by the way, he doesn't believe half the stuff he says. That's what his crazy staffers and speechwriters, okay, these progressive socialist millennials, that's what they just put in front of them to read. But if you know Marxism and communism, I'll give it to you in a nutshell. They look at the world very simply. Fascism versus anti-fascism. Anybody who disagrees with them is a fascist. Literally, anybody. So, you can believe in, look, many people used to believe in Swedish social democracy. No, that was fascism, according to the Bolsheviks and the Marxists. So you see, they're the only anti-fascists. Every other party, every other group that dissents from them are quote-unquote fascists. And that's how they hounded my grandfather. My grandfather, God bless him, he was a member of the Croatian Peasant Party. The man believed in parliamentary democracy. He was against both communism and fascism. He spent a year and a half in a Nazi concentration camp and then over 3 years in a communist concentration camp after World War II. And as they expropriated his home and hounded him and my grandmother, my father was a young boy then, outside of the house, these communists lined up with that red star on their cap. And you know what they shouted to him? Fascisti, 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 fascist. That's AOC. That's Bernie Sanders. That's Biden. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, my friends, as many of you know, Kuhner has a very, very important column out. One of the most important I've ever written. I'm asking all of you, please read it. Go to wrko.com/Kuhner, Kuh, N as in Nancy, ER. Click on Kuhner's columns. It's right there. The Day America Died. I lay out the devastating case against the Trump indictment. In fact, I shred it to pieces. And then I lay out and explain why they're doing it and what their ultimate goal is. We need to get the truth out. It is now a war for the battle of public opinion. And many of you are texting in, having read the column, which ties into our conversation, and saying, Jeff, this is what many of you are saying about the column and liberal reaction to it. Jeff, I have said this many times in many ways. Propaganda works. So many Americans have been propagandized to believe in their bones that Trump is pure evil, on par with Hitler. For us, this seems preposterous. But for them, my friends and family attest to this, anything and everything must be used to crush and neutralize him. These people are well aware of the sham of these investigations and indictments, but for them, it's equivalent to going back in time to Austria in the 1910s and 1920s and finding the young Adolf Hitler painting his watercolors and seizing the opportunity to assassinate him. On many issues, these people are rational, but on this one, they are mentally ill. You know what? 781, by the way. 781, you nailed it. Honestly, this to me describes many, many people I know. Otherwise, very rational. You start talking about Trump and you look at them and you say, do you hear yourself talk? You know, I mean, they're foaming at the mouth. They're rabid. They're like rabid dogs. And I say to them over and over again, okay, look, fine. You don't like him. You really don't like him. You disagree with him. You think he's corrupt. You think he's horrible. You think he's the worst president we've ever had. But how do you go from that to Hitler? Like, are you insane? 50 million dead? Gas chambers? Gas ovens? Concentration camps? The Holocaust? Conquering and invading European nation after European nation? Like, do you understand what's coming out of your mouth? How irrational, how ignorant, how stupid you sound? And it is the accumulation of relentless brainwashing and propaganda from the media, from in universities, in schools, the Democratic Party, Hollywood, and they just keep repeating it and repeating it and repeating it and repeating it. And now they're convinced that he's a spy. I mean, you read this, you're like, so he violated the Espionage Act? So now he's a spy? Okay, so who did he spy with? What document did he give to some foreign intelligence service? Like, do you have any evidence for any of this? Your life is stupider than you are. Go back to Canada. We're going to kill you. I hate you. Now they're coming after my kids. Now they threaten my Ashton. What does my Ashton and Ava have to do with any of this? We're going to take care of your kids. You people are scum, man. So this is now where we are. Rational debate and discourse is impossible. It is absolutely impossible because they have been affected by Trump derangement syndrome. They've lost their freaking minds. And frankly, it's frightening. 617-266-6868 is the number. Joanne in Wakefield. Thanks for holding, Joanne, and welcome.
Hey, Jeff. Good morning.
Hi.
Happy Flag Day to you and all your
Flag Day.
listeners.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for taking my call. So I'll just give you a little, very quick story. Wakefield is a fabulous town. I've been here 30 years, Wakefield, Mass. Great town. They decided to put up another flagpole last month at the Civic Center to accommodate the Pride flag, the Juneteenth flag, all that BS that we have to deal with now. Well, a couple of days ago, there was a petition to get the Veterans flag flown for today only, and it was voted down. And we're just really not happy about that and 1,000 other things that have gone on in the town, the state, the country. And so today at noon, we are going to have a standout at the Civic Center. It's the corner of Main Street and Armory. We've got flags. We've got Christian flags. Bring your own U.S. flag. We're just going to, show them that there are so many of us that don't like what they're doing. We love our country. We love our town. And these communists that are running the show, we just have to get up off our couches and don't be lazy and get out there and show them. So anybody that's even neighboring town.
I urge everybody to go. It's time to speaking up and standing up. 617-266-6868 is the number. Hillary in Maryland. Thanks for holding me, Hillary, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff.
Hi.
Thank you. Hey, I just wanted to, one of your last segments, you left off with something you said I wanted to comment on and maybe ask you about. And you can't help but feel sorry for what they're doing to President Trump. And I've definitely had my, criticisms of him, but, what they're doing to him is horrible. But I wanted to kind of ask you about something. When you mentioned McCarthy and that he should have been straight away bringing forth articles of impeachment, I wanted to kind of parallel something with President Trump that you also left off with when you said that when he got in, he decided to not go after Hillary Clinton and just kind of, let things go. And, didn't President Trump kind of, do what McCarthy did? He kind of let off. In other words, it was provable that under the auspices that we don't go after political opponents, that's only valid when they haven't committed a crime. And President Trump hasn't committed a crime, so they're going after him under false pretenses. But he knew very well that she'd committed a crime, and he promised those of us who voted for him that he was going to drain the swamp. And when he decided to take this hands-off approach, he didn't keep his promise. And unfortunately, he's paying the price for that now. But, let's face it, there's a little bit of cognitive dissonance there, and that's not justice. When you don't go after someone who's committed a crime, there's not like a separate class in this country that, it's hands off. When someone's committed a crime, they should be gone after. So I just wanted to throw that out there and see what your take was on that.
Well, and please don't, Mike, please don't hang up on Hillary. Hillary, you're completely right. I said it at the time. Maybe I should have said it more forcefully or in a more stronger way, but I said he's going to rue the day. It's a huge mistake. It was I believe, a betrayal of a key promise that he made. And more importantly, now they're going to come after him. That by not going after Hillary, then the deep state was able to regain the offensive. And if you remember, it was Hillary that framed him as an agent of Russia. Russia collusion began with her, and then she fed it to the FBI, and they fed it to the deep state, to the CIA, to the DOJ, who then fed it to the media. So by not putting her in jail, basically he gave them the opening they needed to launch their coup against him and to sabotage his entire presidency. So I think it was a colossal error on two fronts. One, it was the right thing to do because she is a criminal. She is a traitor. She's the definition of a traitor. And two, he broke his promise. Now, I'm just explaining why he did it. I'm not rationalizing it. He wanted to do it, from everything I understand. And his people said, listen, you go after her, and your whole presidency, or at least the early part of it, it's going to be consumed with Trump is on a vendetta against Hillary. This is how it's going to be played. McConnell was against it. House Republicans, or many of the leadership, were against it. Paul Ryan was against it. And so they're saying, you're not going to be able to get your agenda done. You want to build the wall. You want to overturn Obamacare. He had so many things. Deregulate the economy, cut taxes, get the country moving again, the economy booming again. So they said there's so much you need to focus on that you're going to get sidetracked and it's going to consume your presidency. So don't do it. And then Trump, in this sense, was gullible. And he admitted later that he was gullible. He said, I'm a patriot. I'm an American. I'm an old school American. He was in his 70s. I honestly believed, he said, that yes, you have a really rough, bruising election. And both sides really just beat the living daylights out of each other. And he said, I never thought that they could be this diabolical or this devious. So he got an education in what the swamp really was like. And look, Hillary, I'm telling you, it was the biggest mistake of his presidency. That's the poison tree. And everything comes from that poison tree. So now he's learned his lesson. Oh, has he learned his lesson? And now he goes, you put me back in. I'm not making that mistake again. You know, as Trump famously says, I only make a mistake once. I never make the same mistake a second time. And honestly, Hillary, and I want to get your take on this, I think that's why they really fear him coming back. This is not inexperienced businessman, political outsider, doesn't know where the bodies are buried Trump. You know, the neophyte Trump. This is now, I've been there 4 years. I know how the system and the regime works. This is going to be Trump unleashed. In fact, as he puts it, it's going to be retribution. It's going to be 4 years of retribution. And that's why they cannot have him come back at any cost. What say you?
You're right about that. You know, I mean, he obviously knows what they're all about. I mean, where Paul Ryan is concerned, he kind of thwarted the funding from the wall from the get-go and sold Trump on the tax cuts before. You know, he wanted to do the wall right from the get-go, and Paul Ryan kind of put the kibosh on that, and he was very trusting. And yes, I mean, I don't think he'll make the same mistake again. I think it was your wife that said now we have no choice but to vote for Trump, because it's almost, I mean, just the principle of what they're trying to do to him and all this kind of stuff. I think that's probably how a lot of us are feeling at this point.
Hillary, as always, thank you so much for that call. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, listen now to Trump saying, notice, the reason why they indicted me is because the Biden regime is collapsing. Everything is coming out about Burisma. Everything we said about Burisma is now proving to be true. We now have the FBI smoking gun bribery document, $5 million to Joe Biden, $5 million to Hunter Biden, and now there's even tapes, audio recordings by the Ukrainian oligarch who owns Burisma, and he's got Joe and Hunter on tape admitting pay-to-play, taking money in exchange for changing policy decisions. Roll cut 7, Mike.
It's also no coincidence that these charges against me came down the very same day. Evidence revealed Joe Biden took a $5 million bribe from Ukraine. Took a $5 million bribe. But the FBI and the Justice Department don't even want to talk about it. They showed something on television tonight. It had 0 time on the 3 major networks, 0. But my impeachment had almost all the time. I think I had 351 minutes. They had no minutes.
How much time left, Mike? Okay. They don't want to talk about the explosive revelations regarding Biden and his bribery, which we now know is definitive. It's irrefutable now. He's a crook and a traitor. They wouldn't even broadcast his remarks from Bedminster. Open censorship. Listen now to Jake Tapper on CNN. Roll cut 28, Mike.
We do have now some of the sound. As I told you, we're not, and the audience, we're not carrying his remarks live because, frankly, he says a lot of things that are not true and sometimes potentially dangerous.
Incredible. Incredible. I'm going to play the Rachel Maddow cut on MSNBC. I just don't have time. But the major cable news networks, some of them, CNN, MSNBC. So for the first time in American history, A former president has been indicted on federal charges. The leading political candidate. And you're not going to cover his remarks? 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, so I want you to just think about this. Whatever you think about Trump, love him, hate him, you think he's guilty, not guilty, whatever you think. Call me crazy. But when the first time in American history that a former president and the leading presidential candidate is indicted on federal charges in the midst of an election campaign, you would think after he's been arrested and arraigned and now is about to give remarks, and by the way, the entire world media is there. I'm not just talking to major networks were there, New York Times, Washington Post, Wall Street Journal. I'm talking media outlets from all over Europe, all over Asia, all over Latin America, all over Africa. They're all there. You would think that this is CNN or MSDNC would, hey, let's see what he has to say. I played Tapper just before the break saying, no, we can't show this. No, it's too dangerous. So there's censorship. What's the matter? Speech by Trump? No, you can't handle it? It's too much for you? Listen now. It wasn't just Jake Tapper and CNN. Listen now to Rachel Madcow on MSDNC. Roll cut 29, Mike.
Again, this time to an audience of his supporters that's gathered for a campaign fundraiser tonight at his golf club and summer home in New Jersey. We knew heading into this that he was planning to make these remarks. We are prepared for his pre-fundraiser remarks tonight to again be essentially a Trump campaign speech. Because of that, we do not intend to carry these remarks live. As we have said before in these circumstances, there is a cost to us as a news organization to knowingly broadcast untrue things. We are here to bring you the news. It hurts our ability to do that if we live broadcast what we fully expect in advance to be a litany of lies and false accusations.
Tell me, you, who were the number one conspiracy theorist at MSDNC, to your eternal shame, okay, tinfoil hat, how many lies did you push about the Russia collusion hoax? This woman did, I think, literally 1,000 shows. 1,000 shows. 1,000 shows. Trump, Russia. Oh, my God, he's in bed with Putin. Alpha Bank. The Russian oligarchs. They're funding him. This left-wing POS, and that's what she is. This lying propagandist, this hateful witch, pushed lie after lie after lie about Russia collusion and has yet to apologize for lying to her audience and pulling them on a string for 4 long years. And now she's like, well, we wouldn't be credible. If we told you lies, we wouldn't be credible. All you did was lie. All you did was lie about Russia. And you pushed the greatest conspiracy theory now completely debunked in the history of the world. But Trump, he's going to give a campaign speech. Well, you cover everyone else's campaign speech. Oh, sorry, no. You won't cover Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s campaign speech. You phony, you fraud, you. But Joey, when it's time to lick his shoes, to lick his boots, you cover everything from Joey or any other partisan rabid Democrat. So, naked censorship. They're not even hiding it anymore. So, get Trump, put him behind bars, jail our political opponents, and when they even try to give a speech to the nation, censor, like in the old Soviet Union. And now it's go after the judge. So the judge that'll be presiding over the case is Judge Eileen Cannon. She's a Republican judge. And already, now it's attack and vilify the judge. The woman, by the way, it was a magistrate judge that heard the plea when Trump's lawyer pled not guilty yesterday. So she wasn't even there in the courtroom yesterday. The woman hasn't even stepped into the courtroom regarding this case. Here's Andrea Mitchell, by the way, another top conspiracy theorist who pushed the Trump-Russia collusion BS. Here's Andrea Mitchell already saying, the judge needs to be disqualified. Roll cut 40A. Mike.
Judge does not have great experience. Most judges there, and certainly Judge Cannon, does not have experience. She's proved that certainly with her decisions, her earlier rulings after the search. She doesn't have experience with handling classified documents, and arguably she doesn't even understand the different levels of security.
Yeah, she doesn't know. She doesn't understand the law. She's just a judge, unlike you, Andrea Mitchell. Yeah. No, you understand national security, of course. That's why you lied about Trump being a Russian agent for 4 years. You and all the other liars on MSDNC. Yeah. But notice, when it came to Ketanji Brown Jackson, what did she have? 6 months experience, I believe, on the appellate court? 6 dinky months? Oh, eminently qualified to be on the Supreme Court. No. Then, Ketanji Brown Jackson. Hey, there's no one more qualified to sit on the high court than good old Ketanji. It's not even you phony, you fraud you. It's you pathetic phony, you fraud you. Whenever you need a rhino to shank it to Donald Trump, you can always count on Paul Rhino Ryan. You want to know the guy who's now running Fox News? You want to know why Fox News is going right down the toilet? Here is Ryan, CBS, on Trump's indictment. There's Rhino Ryan. Roll cut 22. Mike.
He's got a great core of support. And in a primary, that is what you build off of. And so it does matter. But my point is, I think the electability argument is going to become more salient with this indictment and whatever happens in the future. All the exhaustion of all the Trump baggage is going to make it easier now, I think, to make the argument to his core supporters, he's not electable. He's going to cost us the Senate again. He's going to cost us more House seats. He'll cost us the White House. And we want to win, and we do want to win.
Yeah, so in this case,
go look at one of these other great conservatives that are in the race who don't have all this baggage.
Yeah, I know. Hey, Judas. Yep, I know, Judas. Yeah. Oh, you and Mitt Romney, you guys don't know. Hey, you guys know all about winning, huh? Oh, the campaign the two of you ran in 2012 against Obama, magnificent. Magnificent. What a winning campaign. Oh, hey, how about 2018 when Pelosi cleaned your clock, Paul Rhino Ryan? Oh, boy. Hey, you guys are all about winning, huh? Let me play one more and then go right back to the phone lines. This is now the media and the left's pathetic line of attack because it's irrefutable. Biden had over 1,850 boxes with thousands of classified documents, thousands, from the time he was in the Senate, vice president. He had no right to them. They were in his Corvette, right beside his Corvette in his garage. They were in his basement. They're in the Biden Penn Center. They're in Chinatown. They're all over the place. And by the way, the National Archives never asked for him. Nothing happened to good old Joey. Hillary Clinton, 33,000 emails, classified, some of them highly classified, at least 10 of them, quote unquote, top secret, the highest you can possibly get in terms of classification. All put illegally on a private, unsecure server in her basement, I swear to you, right next to her toilet. Okay? Subpoenaed. All 33,000 subpoenaed in an FBI investigation. She destroyed every single one of them. Then they took hammers and they smashed the phones that the documents were sent on for good measure. Nothing. Nothing. No Espionage Act. No obstruction of justice. Nothing. So, is this equal application of the law? Yet. Is this clearly a two-tier justice system? You better believe it. Is this blatant double standards of justice? You better believe it. It couldn't be more crystal clear. It's so obvious. You would think even a liberal could understand this. Nope. The media thinks they now have a word, a term, to rebut this argument. And notice, this is a montage. They all got the same memo from the Democratic Party. They're all singing off of the same choir book. Roll cut 40, Mike.
The real issue on the political side is Republicans are going to be able to play the whataboutism game and say, see, Joe Biden did it too. Any charges against Donald Trump are going to be purely political.
Is this kind of political whataboutism from Jim Jordan playing actually going to resonate that he's trying to play right now?
The whataboutism is very intense right now, and you are somebody who definitely knows facts on this case.
Whataboutism? Whataboutism? Well, no, it's called equal treatment under the law. It's called equal application of the law. It's called justice and fairness on the law. That's what it means to live in a republic. That's what it means to live in a constitutional democracy. 3 people walk in. 3 people have guns. Boom, boom, boom. But you only go after one because you don't like their politics? No. That's what you call prosecutorial misconduct, and that's what you call unequal application of the law, a double standard in our justice system. And instead of confronting that reality, these clowns go, it's whataboutism. No, it's equality under the law. And if you don't have equality under the law, you don't have a republic and you don't have a democracy. But that's, for many liberals, that's tough for them to get their mind around. 617-266-6868. You know why? Orange man evil. He's bad. He's a threat to democracy. Get him. Just get him. Okay. Joining me now on this historic day is none other than Dr. Grace putting liberals in their place. Grace Vuoto, former nationally syndicated talk show host, former political commentator and analyst, and yes, my better half, my wife. Grace, how are you?
I am really puzzled, Jeff. I have a lot of questions about what's going on in our country today, to be honest with you. Look, this is just an unbelievable story, and there's a lot of information that we still haven't been given in order to fully assess the extent of what's going on. And I'll tell you what I mean. So basically, according to their case against Donald Trump, it's well understood that according to the Presidential Records Act, if a president takes documents out of the White House once he leaves office, those belong to him, and whatever remains behind belongs to the government, belongs to the people. So they understand that. But at some point, they issue a subpoena. They say, you must return these documents. But the key question they have not answered is this. Why did they issue a subpoena to him to get the documents back? What the public saw is that there was a January 6th hearing. They were trying to get him on January 6th misconduct. And the question we have is, did they issue that subpoena to retrieve the documents because they saw their case against him in January 6th falling apart? So now they needed access to documents to prove that he was conspiring with the Proud Boys. So they still have to answer that question. Why, unlike any other president, did you issue a subpoena for documents that a president took? Because their whole case rests on, yes, there's the Presidential Records Act, that's fine. Where he violated the law is he didn't give them back when we issued the subpoena. But our counter question is, why was that subpoena issued? Was that subpoena lawful or unlawful? Why has no other president ever been issued a subpoena for documents to be returned? So this is where I am, because their whole case, Jeff, hinges on not that he took the documents. It hinges on that he didn't return them when the government asked him to return them.
Okay,
but
now,
then our counter question has to be, but why did the government make it a criminal case for him not to return it? What was the justification for that?
Okay, now this is a fascinating point, because Jim Jordan has now unearthed a very important fact, and I think everybody now needs to know this. The lead FBI agent responsible for the raid in Mar-a-Lago has now testified under oath that he thought the entire raid was utterly unnecessary, that he was against it. And the reason why he was against it is he said, look, I met with Trump's legal team. I met with Trump personally 6 weeks before the raid. They showed me all the documents in the storage room. At that point, according to this FBI agent, this is under oath, he goes, Trump and his lawyers like, we just had it with all this haggling. Take whatever you want. Whatever you want, take. In fact, if you want, take it all. The agent said they were clearly specific on this. Take what you want. Take it all. Just come down here, get a truck, load every box, and just take it. We're done with this. We're tired. The agent then called Washington, D.C., and they said, well, what do you want me to do? And they said, no, everything is fine. Just tell them to put a second lock in the storage room. So one of the arguments Trump and his lawyers are making is, and the FBI agent is clear, he goes, but they were completely cooperating. They would have, quote, they would have given their full consent for us to take any document they wanted. They had given it to me 6 weeks earlier. There was no need for the raid. So why did they go after him when 6 weeks before, he said, take it, all of it. I'm done with this. Take it all. Can you explain that, Dr. Grace?
Well, this is, you see, again, we always get only their side of the story. Remember, recently at the CNN town hall, it was the first time many of us had heard that Donald Trump had posted again and again on Twitter for the protesters to go home, and that Twitter had taken that down. Remember, that was the first time we heard his defense, his version of events on January 6th, because they had squashed his attempt to defend himself. They didn't permit a fair hearing of January 6th. They didn't get all sides. And again, this is the question. I have a ton of questions on this case, because again, we're just hearing from their version of events. And their version of events, we know, is an attempt to smear him, to railroad him, but there's a lot of questions that they still need to answer. Unfortunately, Jeff, the problem that we face right now is that, unlike with January 6th, what we're seeing even more clearly is they are succeeding in splitting the Republican Party now over this. There's not a lot of Republicans like me this morning saying, hey, I'm talking about the leading Republicans, slow down here. We need a lot more evidence on the table before we even pronounce that Trump did anything wrong. You're going way too fast. And the government has a lot to prove to us before we even believe a single word they're telling us. But what they're succeeding in doing now is they are siphoning off many leading Republicans who are starting to attack him. And this is the path. It is the pathway to dividing the Republican Party, even if he gets off of these charges from a legal point of view.
Chris Christie in particular has now come out and said that what Trump did was criminal, that he supports the indictment completely, and that there is no weaponization of the Department of Justice, that there is no problem with the FBI, that he will keep Christopher Wray, who's a former friend, and his former lawyer. Sorry, he's his friend, not a former friend. He's his friend and his former lawyer who got him out of Bridgegate, that he's going to keep Christopher Wray. So what you're seeing now is these Rhino Judas Republicans are now going to do the dirty work of the regime to attack Trump. And I want to ask you, are they now providing the fig leaf that the Biden regime needs? In other words, to say, well, look at all these Republicans that were attacking him. He just lost so many Republican supporters. That's why he lost to Biden.
It's very clear that that has always been part of the strategy. I warned about this since 2020, that was what they were going to do. That is what they're doing, and we're seeing it right in front of our eyes. Last weekend, Peggy Noonan calling for a third party. Today in the Wall Street Journal, although they're defending Trump to some extent, they're smashing him at the same time. So the Wall Street Journal talking out of both sides of their mouth, trying to basically squash Trump's chances of becoming the next president of the United States, even as they pretend to defend him. And I don't see enough people asking key questions about the government. Remember, don't we believe that people are innocent until proven guilty? I have so many questions about the government's conduct. Before we even talk about Trump's conduct, we need to understand why was the government doing what it was doing, behaving with him in a manner that it doesn't behave with any other ex-president. No other ex-president received a subpoena for documents. None. And the reason that they issued the subpoena is that was in the context of trying to get him on January 6th. And if that was the case, if you're being targeted and railroaded, don't you have the right to defend yourself from the government?
Amen. Amen. Dr. Grace putting liberals in their place. Grace, as usual, outstanding job. And we'll speak to you next week. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, I want to go right back to the screaming phone lines. 617-266-6868. Very quickly, you need all of you. This is information no one else is giving you. Stephen Dantuano. Hope I'm pronouncing his last name correctly. I will spell it out. D, capital D, apostrophe, capital A, N-T-U-O-N-O. Stephen Dantuano. He is the former assistant director in charge of the FBI's Washington field office. Now, why is he such a key player? He was the lead or key FBI agent that oversaw the raid at Trump's home in Mar-a-Lago. Under oath, he gave an interview to Jim Jordan and the House Judiciary Committee. And he said two things. Number one, he was shocked at the raid. He was against the raid. Remember, he's the lead agent. And he said the reason is we've got full consent from his lawyers and full consent from Trump himself 6 weeks before the raid. Just, okay, we're done with this. I'm sick and tired of the haggling and back and forth. And you want these dumb documents? Take what you want. Take any box you want, any documents you want. Take the whole damn thing. Just take them all. So his argument was, why did we raid? We would have gotten the consent of Trump and his lawyers to take whatever and everything we needed. So the whole raid, and ipso facto the entire indictment, is utterly unnecessary. Secondly, and this is going to be key, that's why they have to vilify the judge. That's why the media is targeting the judge. As Dantuano points out, when we raided Trump's home in Mar-a-Lago, we claimed in the warrant that Trump was violating the Presidential Records Act. That was the claim. That's why we have to go in there and grab all these documents. But if you notice in the indictment, The Presidential Records Act is never mentioned, not even once. They're indicting, allegedly, for violating the Espionage Act. 1917, hardly ever used, ancient, seldom used, over 100 years old. So they raid based on violating one supposed statute, but then they try to indict him on a completely separate violation of another statute. And as D'Antono pointed out, A, this is illegal, and B, we have never, ever done this, forgive me, in the history of the FBI. That this screams selective prosecution, it screams prosecutorial misconduct, it screams witch hunt. 617-266-6868. Now, why is nobody in the media making this very obvious point? Because it completely exonerates Donald Trump. And as Grace mentioned to me when we were off air, she said, Jeff, what we are watching now is a CIA-type PSYOPs operation. It's not about the law. It's not about upholding this statute or that statute. It's now to just discredit Trump, taint him, dirty him, make him look guilty, make him look bad. 617-266-6868 is the number. Agree, disagree. Elizabeth in New Hampshire. Thanks for holding, Elizabeth, and welcome.
Hi, good morning. I agree with you, or Grace, that yes, they are trying to just discredit Trump. And I don't think that his team is on the same side. I don't know that he has learned from his mistakes. I have signed up to be a town captain for the Trump campaign, and I went to a training session yesterday, and his head man really just didn't want to hear anything people had to say about their thoughts on how to proceed best for the campaign. You know, it's, well, we just got to vote harder, and we got to get out there and wave flags and show everyone that Trump has the support. Well, I was at a flag-waving event last week when Mike Pence was coming to New Hampshire, and every car that drove by and large, tooted, waved. The support for Trump is overwhelming, and people believe what the media says, that he's losing support. The support of the people is there. It's the support of the Republican Party and those in charge that he needs to regain, because they're out to get him just as much as the Democrats, I think. And one of his biggest failings was not going third party, and I know people hate to say that, but we have a uniparty right now. We have the Democrats and the Republicans are on the same page. They are not fighting for us. They haven't done so for years and years, and if he had gone an independent party, I think that would have been the way to do it. And you know, he could have dropped all the riffraff that want to stay with the party and not support America, and he would have found out sooner who really is on his side. So,
Elizabeth, I'm up against a hard break. I want you to hang on if you can, because I've got a $64,000 question for you. Because you're now talking and exposing how the Republican establishment are now looking to sabotage Trump from within. Okay, I want to go right back to Elizabeth in New Hampshire. Just before I do, again, everybody listening, please, I need your help. Donald Trump needs your help. The Kuhner Man has a fresh new column. We just posted it up a couple hours ago. It's already making a lot of waves. Please go to WRKO.com/Kuhner, Kuhn as in Nancy, ER, WRKO.com/Kuhner, KUHNER. Click on Kuhner's columns. There it is. The Day America Died. I destroy the entire indictment against Trump, and I reveal the Democrats' ultimate aim and objective. We need to get the truth out. Please read it and then email it, post it on social media, whatever you can do, get it out to friends, family members. We need to expose the Democrats and now their assault on our democracy before it's too late. Okay, let's go right back to Elizabeth in New Hampshire. Elizabeth, you were talking about how Trump is now clearly, you can see it with your own eyes as you try to get involved in Republican politics in New Hampshire, that they are trying to sabotage Trump from within. My question to you is this. New Hampshire Governor Chris Sununu, rhino Republican, a rhino through and through, rabid anti-never Trumper. Is he going to do everything in his power to now try to undermine, stop, and defeat Trump in 2024? Because he's always on CNN, he's always on other networks, and all he does now is trash Trump and say that Trump should resign, Trump should step down, and now he's basically saying that if half the indictment is true, Trump should go to jail for a very long time. So, Elizabeth, is the governor of New Hampshire working actively now to defeat and sabotage Trump?
Absolutely. But that is one of the major issues with the Republican Party. There is no reason for him to even be saying anything about the indictment. We have innocent until proven guilty. He should keep his mouth shut and let it play out. Or he should do like the Democrats do and band together and support their person. The Republicans never band together. They're the most wimpy group of people ever to enter politics. They never want to fight. They don't care what their constituents think. They just are in it for probably the money. I mean, I hate to be so cynical, but after a while, it comes to seem that way. I have 3 sons, and they were so proud to vote. My eldest was old enough to cast a vote for Mitt Romney, and he was so proud, and then he was so devastated because Romney let him down. It's like, and he's at the point of, they never keep their promises. Why do I even bother to vote? My other son is a small business owner at 26, and the regulations that he has had to navigate to just start his business was so overwhelming. I mean, he at least was successful, but it's just, again, they're not, why are they making it so difficult for me? And these are our politicians creating these regulations or allowing them to be put forth. And then my youngest son is just like, the heck with it, I'm voting for Kanye. You know, it's just, they're losing. I'm a family of 5. We were all registered Republicans, and we're all just so disillusioned. And it's because of people like Chris Sununu, who will not back the man that the population clearly has, or the base, I guess, not even the base, everybody, people who don't vote support Donald Trump, because I, too, am a business owner, and people come and they bring it up, and they're whispering because they don't want anyone to know. And Republicans are always hiding, whispering in the shadows, and we need to stand up and fight like the Democrats, and we just don't get representatives who are willing to do that. They just ignore what we have to say. So,
Elizabeth, I hope every Republican in New Hampshire, and we have a huge following in New Hampshire, I hope they're all listening, because no truer words have ever been spoken. Elizabeth, thank you so much for that call. Dan in North Andover, thanks for holding.
We're very concerned of Trump being assassinated. Very, very concerned. And I'm hoping it doesn't happen. But where is Jordan, Cruz, Matt Gaetz? Where is McCarthy? Where are these people for impeachment? We have these 4 women that are willing to stand up. Where are these guys hiding? I'm very disappointed in Jim Jordan.
I got to tell you, I don't know what's going on with Jordan. I'm hoping, I'm praying there's some kind of a secret plan that we're not all privy to, that we're not aware of. And they're going to just, hatch it and spring it on Biden very soon. But so far, his silence has been deafening. And he's bad. On this issue, he's been bad. But to me, McCarthy, Scalise, these guys, unforgivable. Unforgivable. Dan, the best that McCarthy could do was after the indictment was unsealed, he came out and said, quote, I swear to you, this is wrong. Ooh, Kevin. Hey, don't give it to them with both barrels, Kevin. Hold back. Hey, there are kids in the audience. Take it easy, Kevin. I mean, he's such a wuss. I swear to you. You want to talk about a pathetic little wimp. Ay. I'm like, just, and this guy's the Speaker of the House. He makes Neville Chamberlain, I'm telling you, look like Ronald Reagan. He makes Neville Chamberlain look like a tough guy. I mean, honestly, Dan, I look at Kevin McCarthy, I look at Mitch McConnell. If I were the Democrats, I'm like, boys, just keep indicting, man. You know what? Let's do DeSantis next. Let's just run down the whole list. Just throw them all in jail. What are these guys going to do? Nothing. I mean, Dan, really, if Mitch the Squish and Kevin were your two guys, you know, that your opposition, would you be trembling? Would your knees be trembling?
This is very unfortunate. And the 1023, I'm not sure if I have the correct number. If it's unclassified, why can't we see it?
Brilliant. I mean,
well,
I'm going to talk about it more tomorrow, but that's literally what Josh Hawley, he confronted the deputy director of the FBI on this. It was yesterday. He goes, let me get this straight. It's unclassified. So why aren't you releasing it? Like this is, and it's not just evidence that Biden took a bribe and Hunter took a bribe, but now there's audio recordings that the Ukrainian oligarch, the owner of Burisma, has them on tape admitting they took a bribe. And he's like, you don't think the American people deserve to know that their president is a crook and a traitor? Like, no? So you guys are covering up for him? And he goes, so why aren't you releasing it? His answer, well, it contains sensitive information. That was the word, sensitive. Oh, yeah, sensitive to the Biden crime family. They're covering up for Biden. The FBI is now like the Stasi. It's like the KGB. They serve the Democratic Party and the Biden regime. They're thoroughly corrupt, like the Department of Justice, like the CIA. And that's why Trump is right. Obliterate them. All of them. Because they're so corrupt. Like, I mean, now, so the thing is unclassified. So what are you protecting it for? Dan, the president is a crook. And the FBI knows it. And now they're trying to hide it from the American people.
You know, last but not least, I'm not a violent person, and I know you can't say this on air, but I don't know. Maybe violence is the answer. I don't know how to get through.
Well, what we're hoping, and this is the plan, that there are now 90, 100 million of us, because Trump's numbers are skyrocketing. And you can see so many people are disgusted now by what the regime and the deep state are doing to him, that these are just numbers they cannot stop. And that we will be able, democratically, legally, civilly, peacefully, get him reelected back in the White House, and then he will clean house. So let's just, that's our path. Let's stay on that path and take it from there. Because the other alternative is too terrible to contemplate. So, Dan, to me, at this point, let's stand behind Trump. Let's speak out on behalf of Trump. Let's not be any more afraid. Let's come out of the shadows. And let's let this regime know You can indict him, you can arrest him, but you will not silence him, and you will not silence us. Ray in Barrie. Thanks for holding, Ray, and welcome.
Hey, Jeff. Good morning.
Hi, Ray.
Hey, I've been wanting to call you for a long time, and I couldn't get through. Do you remember Tom Laughlin?
That name rings a bell.
Well, he was the producer and director of the Billy Jack movies.
No, I'm thinking of a different Laughlin then. No, I don't know Tom Laughlin. No, I'm just curious. Well, why do you mention him?
Because he did a movie that came out in '74. Well, he did a bunch of movies, and he self-financed. And he did a movie, the last one, Billy Jack Goes to Washington. And what I like about the DVDs is it gives you interviews with the director and producer, which was him and his wife, Dolores Taylor. Well, he talked about how we had permits to film on the Washington Memorial, the Jefferson Memorial, and when Hoover got wind of that it was an anti-government movie, he canceled all those permits. Well, Tom talked about how they still got the shots. They paid off the security guys, and all those shots were at night. Well, he exposed in that movie, Billy Jack Goes to Washington, he exposed all the corruption in D.C. back then, even though it was kind of fictional in the movie, but it was based on facts. And the lengths they went to, he went to Washington in the movie as a senator, and the lengths they went to discredit him, because he wanted to build a children's camp on a mountain where they had planned on putting a nuclear waste place or a nuclear facility, and and they went to the lengths in the movie of claiming that he had bought the land on the mountain to make a profit, and in a Senate investigation, because they wanted to bounce him out of the Senate, I guess. And they went to the lengths of producing phony documents that he bought the land. They had to bring in hand signature experts. And he showed people about the filibuster. He filibustered for like 2 days, 3 days on the Senate floor. And by the way, Universal Studios, they were backing him at this point. They built a whole exact replica of the Senate chambers.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, no, I mean, Ray, I get what you're getting at. Look, the FBI has a history of abusing its power, and it has been corrupt for a very long time. The CIA, in many ways, even worse. And so they were trying to railroad this guy. And what they do is they lie. They lie in order to discredit and destroy. That's what they do. Misinformation, disinformation. They are experts at that. And the key name in the 1970s is a senator called Frank Church. And he set up something called the Church Commission. And I urge everybody, when you have a little bit of time, half an hour, 45 minutes, go and look at what the Church Commission found. It was shocking. It shocked the conscience of the American people. The FBI spied on Barry Goldwater during the '64 campaign on behalf of Lyndon Johnson. They were illegally spying on Martin Luther King. They were spying on John F. Kennedy. They were spying, behind the president's back. They were spying on Robert F. Kennedy. The CIA, how they were engaging in illegally toppling regimes all over the world, including getting involved even then in American domestic politics. So the deep state, and that's where the term the deep state came from, just so that everybody knows, this was a term that came from the 60s and 70s. And the left and the liberals used to use it all the time. Now, all of a sudden, you go on Wikipedia or on Google, it's a term of conspiracy. No, stupid. It was an actual term invented by many people outraged by the FBI and CIA's abuses, gross abuses, in the 60s and 70s, uncovered, by the way, by a liberal Democrat. Frank Church, he was a populist. He came from the prairie states, so he was a bit unconventional. You can't put him in a box. But he was essentially an anti-war liberal Democrat. And he said, oh my God, what are they doing here in the United States? They're out of control. And this was like 45, 50 years ago. Well, now it's gotten infinitely worse. I mean, now it's like a Frankenstein's monster. Now, either we slay it or it will slay us. And that's why Trump is saying, when I come to power, I'm dismantling and obliterating the deep state. And to me, that is now the seminal issue of our time. It is the deep state versus democracy. Who rules in America? We the people or the ruling class? That's why they want to knock off Trump. And to be honest, that's why they fear Robert F. Kennedy Jr. as well. One is from the right, one is from the left. But in the end, they are patriots who oppose globalism. Holly in New Hampshire. Thanks for holding, Holly, and welcome.
Oh, hi, Jeff. Thanks. Hey, about the indictment and when Trump goes to court, I believe that this judge, whoever it is, has already been threatened, and their family has already been told if she or he is to let Trump go, then there'll be the FBI, the CIA, all of Obama's people, Hillary's people will go after their family, their kids, their grandchildren, their schools, their businesses. So who's ever the one that has got to rule against Trump, I believe, has already been talked to. Their family's been investigated.
Well, they're already vilifying her in the media. It's a she. It's Eileen Cannon. And they're already now turning her into public enemy number one. The threats and the attacks, they have already begun.